A famous quote says, "One man's misfortune is another man's opportunity," and that applies to so much in life, even football. When a player picks up an injury or suddenly becomes unavailable, it is, of course, a very sad and unfortunate thing. But on the flip side, it actually does open a door for another player to get an opportunity he would probably never have gotten. Looking at the squad list being released by nations heading to the World Cup this summer, this appears to be a common theme we have noticed across the board, so we're here to talk about it today. These are 7 players who are only going to the World Cup because of an injury to another player. We'll start with Jean-Philippe Mateta. He is a top striker with an eye for goal, but we all know that he's only going to the World Cup because Hugo Ekitike picked up an injury, right? Months ago, it was obvious that Ekitike was going to be in France's World Cup squad, and in fact, there were some people saying that he deserved to start. His form with Liverpool made him impossible to ignore, and when he featured for France during the international breaks, he was sensational too. But then, he picked up that nasty injury in the Champions League game against PSG, which effectively ended his season and ruled him out until the end of the year. Well, that opened up a new spot in France's World Cup squad, and Mateta, who himself has struggled with injuries this season, managed to recover, put up great performances for Palace in the final lap of the season, and earn himself a spot in the France squad. Obviously, the man had to put in the work to get that call-up, but he surely benefited from Ekitike being out injured. Meanwhile, in Spain, we think it was Alex Baena who benefited from Fermin Lopez's injury. The Barcelona man had one heck of a season and was surely a shoo-in for De La Fuente's squad. His 30 goal involvements made him one of the first names in the Spain squad, but in the penultimate game of the season he fractured his metatarsal, which required surgery, and that effectively ruled out of the tournament. Well, that meant that a new spot opened up for an attacking midfielder, which is probably how Baena got himself a call-up. Considering the season he had, being involved in only 5 goals across all competitions and not being able to establish himself as a first-team player at Atleti, he likely would not have made the squad if everyone was fit. But he got really lucky when Fermin picked up that injury right at the end of the season. Meanwhile, over at Real Madrid, it was Eder Militao who picked up an injury which effectively ruled him out of the World Cup. The defender has been so unfortunate with injuries in recent times. Since 2023, he has suffered 2 ACL injuries, a torn muscle fiber, and a couple more muscular issues. By the time he returns from his current injury in September, he'll have missed a cumulative total of 2 years of football in the last 3 years. That's just crazy. He returned from his last injury in April, and Ancelotti had already said that he had a guaranteed spot in Brazil's World Cup squad. But sadly, just about a month after he returned to the pitch, he picked up a new injury which meant that he would not be able to make it to North America. This presented an opportunity for a new defender to be called up, and it appears that it was Leo Pereira that has benefited from that. The 30-year-old Flamengo centre-back had never played a single game for Brazil coming into 2026. But in March, with Militao injured, he got his first call up to the national team, where he featured against France and Croatia. He appeared to have really impressed the manager, but it was still expected that he would drop back out once Militao regained fitness. But seeing as the Real Madrid man picked up another injury, Pereira was included in the Brazil World Cup squad. Now, there's a German football legend who only got called up because of an injury to another player. Do you know who we're talking about here? Take a guess in the comments, we'll see if you're right soon. While you're there, if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go do that right away so you never miss out on our amazing content. Done? Now, back to the video. Xavi Simons is a player who was sure to head to the World Cup with the Netherlands this year. Never mind Tottenham's horrible season, he is the Netherlands' golden boy and already had his seat on the plane booked. But then he tore his ACL in a Premier League game against Wolves in April, which effectively ruled him out of the World Cup. In his absence, Gustil has now been called up to the final squad. The 28-year-old PSV man is an attacking midfielder who has played only 15 minutes of football for the Netherlands senior team in the last 4 years. He was not called up for the last World Cup or Euros and didn't even partake in the qualifiers. All of this tells us that he is not really a part of the coach's plans and has only been given this opportunity because of the absence of Simons.
Average players train hard, elite players train smart. We didn't just build a mat, we engineered a blueprint for the 1%. Every line, every angle and every drill was crafted through months of studying elite player biomechanics. Translate muscle memory into matchday dominance. Goal 90's own training mat comes with the app to take you to the next level. Get yours today.
Meanwhile, we believe that Ryan is heading to the World Cup with Brazil this summer because of the injury Estevão picked up. The Chelsea man is Brazil's golden boy, and his place at this summer's tournament was already secured until he picked up that nasty injury. The teenager was hoping to make it back in time for the World Cup, but in the end, he couldn't, and that left an extra spot open on the right wing. And well, it seemed like Ancelotti decided to keep the theme going on that wing by replacing one teenage star who recently moved from Brazil to the Premier League with another one. But if Estevão was fit, chances are that Ryan would have had to watch the World Cup from home this year. Anyway, remember we said that there's a German legend on this list? Yeah, it's one of the greatest ever, Manuel Neuer. It came as a surprise to many that he was included in Germany's squad, but the truth is that he's only going to the World Cup this summer because of the injury to Marc-Andre ter Stegen. You see, after Euro 2024, Neuer decided to retire from international football, and the part that wasn't said out loud was that he was handing over to ter Stegen to have his run as Germany #1 for a few years. Unfortunately though, injuries have not let ter Stegen enjoy his time. He had a knee injury in 2024, which ruled him out until last year. Then just before the new season started, he picked up a back injury. Seeing as he was no longer first choice at Barcelona when he returned from injury, he decided to take a loan move to Girona in January in order to get enough playing time to convince Nagelsmann that he was worthy of the Germany #1 shirt. But sadly, not long after that move, he tore his hamstring and didn't recover until May. Mind you, while all this was happening, Neuer was still killing it on the biggest stage with Bayern Munich. Now, seeing as ter Stegen was not fit and the other options just don't strike enough confidence, Nagelsmann decided to get Neuer to come out of retirement and have one last dance with Germany at the age of 40. But what we all know is that if ter Stegen was fully fit, this would not have been necessary at all. Meanwhile, over at Ghana, it appears that Prince Adu will be heading to his first ever major tournament thanks to Mohamed Kudus picking up an injury. The Spurs man injured his hamstring in January and was expected to be back in April, but he relapsed and will now be out of the World Cup. This created an opening for another attacking player to go, and it appears that the chosen one was Victoria Pleasant striker Prince Adu. He has only ever played 4 games for Ghana, and they were all friendlies, so he surely wasn't at the top of the list to go to the World Cup, but the disappointment for Kudus turned out to be a blessing for him. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Do you agree with our list here that these players are only heading to the World Cup because of injuries to other players? Are there more players who seem to be benefiting from injuries as well in these call-ups? Drop their names in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye!